Lucifer's on fraud watch, a new piece of VAGGIE'S backstory completely recontextualizes her rivalry with Lute, Angel Justice hit with a disturbing revelation, Helluva Boss Season 3 is being set up right before our eyes, the Vees are slowly falling apart, so much is happening this week in Hazbin Hotel that it's kinda hard to keep up with all of it. Luckily, that's where I come in, as we're going to break down Season 2 Episodes 5 and 6, Silenced and Scream Rain, to highlight all the key moments, some details and foreshadowing you may have missed, and maybe just a little bit of nitpicking sprinkled in, because some of these writing choices are a lot to process. And if you end up enjoying the video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you can stay in the loop of all things Hazbin. Now lock in! The 5th episode of our 2nd season opens with a song that explores the aftermath of Alistair's defeat against the Vees. Alistair surrendering to Vox is exactly what the radio demon needed to gain the attention and respect of not just sinners, but all the other overlords, presenting Vox with the opportunity to rally everyone up and get them on board of his plans to invade heaven. Capturing Alistair is Vox's first big move in his scheme to rule the afterlife, and it's one that's destined to blow up in his face, as Velvet and Valentino are already being excluded from the conversation. All eyes are on Vox, and he has no desire to set the record straight, despite promising that the exact opposite would happen to his colleagues earlier in the season. Alistair wouldn't have given himself up if Velvet and Valentino didn't put him on the ropes, or best Nifty and Husk in battle. Yet no one's saying the Vees captured the radio demon. All the headlines and gossip are focused on Vox. Hell, during the Overlord's big musical number, we can see that this photo of Vox in the tabloids just barely cropped out the other Vees, reinforcing how Vox is getting swept up in his own ego and has already abandoned his friends, which is unfortunate because, talking purely from the standpoint of Saturday morning cartoon villains, they work well together. I don't think Vox even necessarily wants to get rid of them. He's having a ball with them during this song. He just wants the validation that Alistair denied him all those years ago a lot more, believing he could obtain it from everyone else by becoming their supreme leader. And because he's incapable of letting this grudge go, Vox is destined to lose his marbles in Act 3, just as Alistair's saying in the last episode. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Charlie is desperate for a win and running low on options, so she hopelessly resorts to getting Emily's attention aircraft marshaller style, while continuing to ignore VAGGIE'S attempts to help her out in more ways than one.
Is there anything I can help you with?
I don't think so, Vaggie.
Charlie, are you serious? Do you know how many women would kill to be with Vaggie?
I would love to just even be a non-sexual partner with her. You know what I mean? In business or something like that.
Charlie's more pissed than concerned that Alistair's been deer-napped, which is kinda crazy, but I also get it. She's worked out that Alistair is a pretty crafty fellow who can take care of himself, so she probably doesn't expect this hostage situation to last for long. However, with Alistair surrendering on the conditions that Vox isn't allowed to lay a finger on Charlie, alongside Husk and Nifty being spared, it comes across as super cold for Charlie's reaction to be pure frustration. But I mean, isn't that the point? Charlie's hitting a low, and is so hoping on things working out the way that she wants them to, that she's losing sight of everyone else's efforts to help her. When Vaggie passes by Angel Dust in the hallway, he mentions that he's been having a headache all day, and asks Vaggie to give him the tea on her convo with Lucifer. Both of these details alluding to the reveal in the next episode that Vox has been using Angel Dust as an unknowing spy. I failed to mention this in my breakdown of the season premiere, but Lucifer's room in the hotel features a few framed portraits of Mammon from Helluva Boss, the greed sin and founder of Lululand, who mentioned his friendship with Lucifer in the spin-off series. There's actually a wad of cash for Mammon with a note that reads, "This is a bribe, come back." With the assumption that all the other gifts for Lucifer are from the sins, it seems as if they're on a mission to get him back in the squad after he spent years isolating himself from everyone. He didn't even show up to Blitzo's trial in Helluva Boss Season 2. Now that the Helluverse is under the same roof on Prime Video, I imagine Lucifer will reunite with his fellow sins on screen in Helluva Boss Season 3, for better or worse, as Lucifer's reputation in Hell is about to plummet after this episode, so either Mammon will help rehabilitate his image, or the Deadly Sins will turn his back on him after getting little broed by Vox. Maybe it'll be split 50-50, where some of the Deadly Sins are all for Lucifer hanging around again, while the others don't want to feel the shame by association. Vaggie tries to push Lucifer into confronting Vox, leading to an insane confession from the King of Hell that's going to be a devastating hit to his aura and his fans. Lucifer can't smite sinners as a part of his punishment in Hell. This restriction is likely something that Sarah and the other angels came to an agreement on when they judged the fallen angel all those years ago. And that also makes her lack of interaction with Lucifer in this episode a little frustrating. We don't know if Hell being a punishment is something that applies to the sinners or just Lucifer, but if it does apply to sinners, what does that exactly look like? Because so far, far, no one else really seems hindered by this place. You know, aside from the fact that it's a shithole. Everyone has access to their passions and their vices. You could argue that their inability to die from anything other than angel weapons is the punishment, since they could be tortured endlessly, but most of them seem to view it as a perk. I definitely hope they flesh out this concept in future seasons. Vaggie argues that Vox doesn't know about Lucifer's weakness, so it's still worth trying to scare him a little bit. But little does she know, Vox will find out about everything much sooner than later, since a brainwashed angel dust was apparently eavesdropping right outside the door the entire conversation. I love that written on the back of Lucifer's great Quaxby playbill is, "Hey there kids, merch now available." It definitely feels like a meta nod to the fan base because, let's face it, if you're a Hazbin fan, you were either a theater kid, are currently a theater kid, or silently have the soul of one. Either way, Hot Topic probably loves your wallet. Not sponsored yet. If there's one thing Lucifer and Vox have in common, is that the two will always step up and bring their A game when given the chance to best Alistair, as hearing his name is all Lucifer needs to be sold on ambushing Vox's rally. Emily invites Penchus to Sarah's meeting despite some pushback from the usual suspects, and I think this could be setting the stage for Penchus to work his way up to a spot on the council. As Emily points out, Penchus is a valuable voice as he's actually lived in hell, and I think it's important that he's had experience as both a human and a sinner. Heaven's council is presumably full of angels who have never lived as mortals on Earth. So how can they properly understand the lives that humans live? They can't. They lack the perspective to fully digest what drives people to make the decisions that end up determining their afterlife. They've never walked a mile in humanity's shoes. They need more angels with lived experience, those who are former humans and, as more souls ideally get redeemed, former sinners. The idea of Penchus being the first to break that barrier sounds like an amazing direction to take his character in, so they better stick with it. Charlie and Emily's naive worldviews are challenged by both the narrative and characters alike, as Emily, Penchus, and Abel opt to make peace with hell by offering an apology. Because after all, Charlie taught Penchus that making a difference starts with sorry, yet Sarah rightfully isn't convinced that a simple apology can make up for years of genocide. And she's absolutely correct. This ain't something a Hallmark card and a coupon at TGI Fridays could fix. Still, they decide to take a crack at it. Hey guys, as a black dude, I just want to take a moment and say that if you think apologizing for certain historical atrocities with gift baskets is a good idea, you probably deserve to be smacked upside the head to see if that fixes your brain, because clearly it's broken. The angels travel to the hotel and are quick to ally with Charlie, aside from Lute, who's just kind of pouting and aura farming this whole season after swearing her revenge with a sick musical number, but hey, maybe she'll have the spotlight in season 3. As the Vees prepare for the rally, Alistair continues to effortlessly sow division between Vox and the rest of the team by getting under Vox's skin and reiterating how he'd be nothing without Velvet and Valentino, a belief he's been vocal about since the beginning of the series. And the rage bait works like a charm, as not only does Vox begin to downplay their importance right in front of Valentino, but he also requests that the two stay backstage during the event because he's not so secretly afraid that they'll steal his thunder. And Valentino is not having any of it. One major thing this episode does for the future of the series is build up anticipation for Lilith's arrival and what we can only assume will be season 3, as Vox evokes her name and falls back on his perception of her tactics to get sinners fired up at his rally. On paper, this really is Lilith's whole shtick, using a song to unite and empower sinners. Vox is just coercing them to fight for him instead of for themselves. Vox's 2 rally songs are actually titled Vox Populi and Vox Dei, Vox Populi being Latin for the voice of the people, while Vox Dei translates to the voice of God, an escalation that shows how Vox is presenting himself as the new savior of hell, when in reality, he's just coercing sinners to fight for him instead of for themselves, instructing sinners to worship him as a god if they hope to obtain their independence, instead of just fighting for themselves in the first place. The voice of God is also a telling title, as Vivzy Pop recently revealed that the speaker of God is the closest we'll get to the almighty deity in this series. So by crowning himself as Hell's speaker of God, Vox is selling the idea that he's on top of the food chain, someone who's innately above the likes of Lucifer and the overlords. The dude is power tripping hard, and it's all under the guise of making hell great again. A little on the nose, but let's entertain the idea that Vox probably still has access to newscasts on Earth, given that he's barely in the loop enough to keep his TV ad up to date with modern times. And we know from Helluva Boss that there are multiple multiple ways to have access to Earth. So maybe he's been keeping tabs on what's happening in America and decided to take notes. That would be in line with his character relying on everyone else for his success. He can't even campaign without stealing other fascist flows bar for bar. All that's missing is little red top hats for his supporters to wear. Vox's approach really does show that at the end of the day, Hell still views Lilith as the true ruler. Charlie, Lucifer, and even Vox, they're all just filler until the queen decides to reclaim her throne and really put Hell back on track. I'm surprised Vox didn't make an empty promise and try to guarantee her return to Hell, or lie about having her blessing to invade heaven, since he probably knows she's ghosting Charlie, and thus Charlie would have no way to validate those claims. Lucifer arrives to strike the fear of the devil into Vox, but the Lord of the Screens was already anticipating his arrival thanks to his pawn. It's why he doesn't flinch at any of Lucifer's strikes or display any real change in demeanor, acting mildly inconvenienced at most, but it doesn't last long, as he quickly plays up his cocky attitude and turns the tables on Lute. Vox absolutely humiliates Lucifer, knowing he can say anything to his face and get away with it, putting words in his mouth as he claims Lucifer thinks sinners should be satisfied with the state of hell, and that Lilith knew hell sucked, and that's why she ditched her family, pushing all the buttons so that he can have Lucifer seething and make him come across as soft and weak-minded for not fighting back. To make a messy situation even worse, the angels arrive and attempt to apologize. It goes as well as you'd think. As in, not at all! Vox actually puts it perfectly. You can't apologize for genocide with gift baskets. And man, it's crazy that he didn't even have to plan for their arrival. They just came out of nowhere and ran right into his trap. Vox shows images of the exterminations from throughout the last 7 years to enrage and radicalize his audience. And it's this level of surveillance that makes the necessity of a later twist questionable to say the least, since it's clear Vox has eyes and ears everywhere from technology alone. It also showcases how much the exorcist enjoyed the exterminations, which is also why other angels apologizing feels like a hollow gesture. The soldiers directly responsible aren't even being addressed or punished at all. Hell, you can even see Lute smirking at the footage. Like, yeah, we fucking crushed that, didn't we? Charlie is pissed after finding out about Lucifer's intervention, and while it definitely is a bad look given the angel's arrival shortly after, if you remove Lucifer from this moment, not much really changes. Not only was he trying to help, but he didn't really dig Charlie into a deeper hole. This would have been the disastrous outcome either way. In a display that's more menacing than anything Lucifer pulled off, Sarah unveils her true form, a bird-like angel composed of many eyes and wings. It's very freaky yet very cool to look at. Whoever designed her cooked, as she does feel like a deity whose form we can barely comprehend in the best way possible. Vox declares war on heaven, promising to invade the pearly gates and settle the score for over half a decade's worth of exterminations. He also mimics Sarah's true form, using his many screens to give off the illusions of eyes and wings, but it really just reinforces that Vox is just endlessly leeching off of other people. Get your own aura, bruh! After the angels retreat and the hotel continues to lose guests, Charlie tries to pin the blame on Vaggie and Lucifer, kicking her father out of the hotel. But again, Lucifer's involvement didn't really do nearly as much damage as the angels attempting to apologize did. Luckily, Vaggie puts Charlie in her place, pointing out that Charlie's own actions have done more harm to the hotel, and that Charlie is kinda crashing out. It's a bleak ending, but boy oh boy, things are about to get all the more intense. The next episode, Scream Rain, opens with Vox approaching Camilla Carmine to recruit her for his war efforts, forcing Velvet to make amends for the absolute bop that was respectless, where she disrespected the hell out of Carmine in front of the other overlords. During his big pitch, Vox provides new information about Lilith, claiming that she disappeared from hell before she could wage war on heaven, implying that she wanted to seize the kingdom before the exterminations were even in the picture. All we knew prior to this moment was that Lilith united and empowered sinners, and heaven responded with fear by initiating the exterminations. The knowledge that she actually wanted to wage war puts a lot into question. Were the exterminations and her departure from hell actually the results of an agreement she made with Sarah and Adam? Does she still want sinners to conquer heaven, playing the long game? Or is Vox just lying about the whole thing? Personally, I think it'd be more impactful if he's being honest, and I have no reason to doubt his claims here given the context. This is information that Carmine wouldn't already be privy to. I think the show wants us to compare and contrast Charlie's perception of Lilith to Vox's and determine who she really was from there. That the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Vox claims that Velvet is new to the Overlord biz, which made me realize that she likely died on Earth sometime in the 2010s, given her affinity for social media. So the Vees were likely formed in relatively recent years, as it probably just went from Vox and Val as a duo to Velvet getting involved, which benefited all three of them. Vox's influence over Hell was likely strengthened through social media, as I imagine it also gave Val access to a wider range of clients, and the two's own connections boosted Velvet's following. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ways that they influence each other's businesses, but that's the gist of it. We learn why Carmine is so protective of her family, why they're her biggest priority, and why the idea of their safety being threatened will always entice her to root for the team that's most likely to protect them. She appears to be widowed, or at the very least, lost her fiance, as we're shown 2 rings when she tells Zestiel that she refuses to lose anyone else. If I had to guess, it'd make the most sense that this mysterious lover died in an extermination, since angelic weapons are the only thing that can kill sinners, which adds to why she was willing to help Charlie and her crew fight against Adam. Unfortunately for Carmine, she's still losing a loved one, no funeral required, as Zestiel can see that working with Vox is a very bad idea, and pieces out until this arc resolves itself. Charlie and Vaggie's confrontation with Carmine gives us more insight into Vaggie's past as an exorcist, introducing us to a new character who was either a close friend of Vaggie's, or more than likely, her love interest and previous partner. A curly-haired exorcist with a small tooth gap who appeared to often be a target of harassment and abuse by Lute, likely for not living up to her standards. Perhaps she was too soft, and her kind-hearted nature influenced Vaggie. Now, as a quick side tangent, we finally get to see more of the Exorcist unmasked, and they all pretty much have some variation of Lute's face, with Vaggie's appearance being the furthest departure from Lute, as she has a darker skin tone than the rest. All these details track, as Adam did create the Exorcist himself, presumably basing them all off his idea of a perfect woman. And with Vaggie being the one exorcist who tried to spare as many sinners as possible, and actually showed concern for others, which is on full display here, it makes sense to have her design stand out from the crowd. Vaggie appeared to have been comforting this mysterious exorcist behind everyone's back, but the two are quickly caught and separated by Adam and Lute. Given that Lute seems to have had it out for Vaggie for quite some time, she might have picked up on these two having romantic implications, or just a general sense of closeness, and kept an eye on the two of them, relaying her suspicions to Adam. However, I don't think the two are being punished for hiding a relationship, as Lute's clearly taking this girl away somewhere else, while Adam holds Vaggie back. It's very likely that this angel just didn't live up to Adam and Vaggie's standards, and since they were created by Adam, they're just going to treat her as a disposable fluke rather than someone who can be given multiple chances or assigned to a different job elsewhere. Plus, Adam's Adam. He's the last guy who's going to oppose a lesbian relationship, but he is going to be super weird about it. Again, I think this mystery woman's poor treatment comes down to performance, which is why Lute murdered this exorcist during the same extermination where she caught Vaggie sparing sinners and punished her by cutting off her wings, taking an eye, and banishing her from heaven. Perhaps this curly-haired exorcist also spared sinners, so Lute decided to put her out of her misery, tossing her lifeless body into the alleyway. Now, I believe this relationship had romantic undertones, because it then sheds new light on gravity when Lute's singing about the feeling of wishing you were there when the person you loved needed you, when you could have saved their life. That very well might have been how Vaggie felt when Lute murdered this woman in cold blood. So really, Lute ended up getting a taste of her own medicine when she lost Adam. Suffice to say, this traumatic lore dump stumps Vaggie when Carmine asked the two why they still believe heaven is a place they should all be striving for. It's just as flawed and depraved as hell, just in different ways. After quitting the hotel due to his own frustrations, Husk falls back into bad habits and hits up the casino, the place where he lost everything and ended up enslaved to Alistair. This bender in the making leads to a cameo from Zach Hadel, aka Psychic Pebbles, who most people now recognize as the co-creator of Smiling Friends, and not the legend whose animations rotted my brain in middle school. He voices the gambling jackrabbit.
Oh my fucking god, that was my fucking hell mortgage on my hell house!
Husk discovers that Angel has a side gig at the casino, working as a drag queen who delivers an amazing performance. He's got the voice of an angel for real. Pun not intended, but fully embraced. Switching to the Vees tower, Vox wants to borrow angel dust for his plan, and Valentino once again addresses how self-centered Vox is being. He's focused on only being the best. There are a few posters of the Vees promoting various products in the background, and I thought they were just worth highlighting. Velvet's promoting an Ozempic as product for sinners, with an anti-body positivity message that reads, "You will never have the perfect body. Unless..." There's also another poster where she promotes a love potion. Vox has a poster promoting some sort of energy drink, claiming that it might work. And as to be expected, Valentino is the most disgusting of all, with a poster that reads, "No consent, no problem." And also something about a strawberry flavor. I think this could be promoting Velvet's love potion, or at least, that's probably one of the least heinous products that he could be slapping his face on. But still pretty bad. Vox attempts to persuade Valentino of sex, and Val seemingly takes the bait, only to flip the script on Vox, who falls right into another trap that seemed to be orchestrated by Alistair in particular. I'm thinking after the conversation at the rally, Alistair, while trapped in the V Tower, conversed with Velvet and Valentino about Vox's dependency on them. Or at the very least, he planted the idea that it might be worth ambushing Vox the next time he asked for something. Alistair picked up on the very obvious tension brewing between the Vees, and could see another favor coming from a mile away. And since Vox and Valentino are sleeping together, they were able to figure out that Vox would come to him first, waiting for the perfect moment to grill him. Once again, Vox's true agenda to best Alistair and prove he doesn't need anyone gets the better of him. Because as soon as Alistair makes his presence known, Vox switches up his demeanor and tries the tough guy act, attempting to use his hypnosis on Valentino, but Val asserts that the brainwashing doesn't work on him. But why? Are his shades Vox-proof? Is it because he's a moth and they can't be hypnotized the same way humans are? Is it because of his bonds with Vox? Or did he just become that strong-willed from being the ruthless, exploited piece of shit that he is, so Vox's control can't even faze him? Maybe it's a combination of all the above. Sound off with your take in the comments. While Velvet and Valentino know they can't stop Vox from doing anything, they're still doing plenty of harm to his sense of self-worth by calling him out on his shit and making it known that he is very much at risk of losing them. Because of Alistair and other deep-seated issues, Vox doesn't take well to rejection or abandonment. He wants all the glory and to prove that he doesn't need anyone to succeed, but he also doesn't want to be alone. He thrives off the validation and attention of others. Losing the Vees would be an immensely devastating blow to him, despite the fact that he's very much neglecting them. Ultimately, Vox is on the path of self-destruction, which is exactly what Alistair accounted for. Turns out the radio demon is having a great time being abducted. Back at the hotel, Charlie finally realizes the error of her ways, admitting that she's been fixated on the hotel's success because it's the last thing from her mom that she can hold on to, believing that if she succeeds, maybe her mom will come back. Once again, I think season 3 will be a huge season for Lilith, as the show has been emphasizing her importance on everyone more than ever. She's the missing piece of the puzzle that'll make many mysteries click into place. Charlie and Vaggie have make-up musical number sex, declaring that finding love in hell is the most empowering thing of all. Which is a hilarious sentiment given how both Hazbin and Helluva Boss are extremely ship-driven, and it actually doesn't seem that hard to find love in hell, like, at all. It kinda seems like it's as easy as breathing, but hey, the song still slaps. After a tender bonding moment between Husk and Angel, that features a callback to Loser Baby in both their conversation and the music in the background, with the two reminding the audience how important it is to have someone who accepts you for your flaws but still roots for you to succeed, Val brings Angel to his next gig in a scene that's definitely a little hard to watch. Angel gets jumped by Vox, who's very obviously taking out his aggression on the poor lad. Vox admits that he's been itching to make Angel bleed. The only thing that was holding him back was that if he had left any scratches or bruises on Angel Dust, then there'd be a paper trail of his brainwashing. But that doesn't mean he wasn't physically harming him at all, as he has seemed to at least have been shocking and strangling Angel Dust, giving a disturbing remark about how it's cute that Angel screams every time he's electrocuted. So yeah, Vox reveals he's been brainwashing Angel Dust and using him as an unknowing spy for quite some time. At the very least since the end of season 1, as he cites Angel Dust as the reason why he knew that Heaven was invading early. This is how Vox has apparently remained one step ahead of Charlie. I want to dive into exactly when Angel got brainwashed in its own dedicated video, but for now, I just want to say that I'm honestly unsure how I feel about this twist. Like Vox's whole thing is media manipulation and utilizing technology to his advantage. So it was already believable that he was spying on the hotel just from having everyone and everything under a microscope. He also gave Charlie a new TV earlier in the season, which could have been used as another way for him to spy on everyone. I just don't know if we needed to give Angel Dust another traumatic event to endure before he even gets the chance to really bounce back from everything he's gone through in season 1. If he had already made strides breaking free from Valentino, only to then discover that Vox also had a grip on him, forcing him to realize that he's actually been in the clutches of all 3 of the Vees, then I'd probably be a bit more on board. But right now, without Angel making any meaningful progress forward. It just feels a little excessive. Angel has barely had any development or relevance in this season, outside of being forced into Charlie's antics and then being used as a pawn by Vox, so the audience already isn't going to feel great about his character's role in the season, and dropping this bombshell is probably just going to piss a lot of people off. Vox unveils another ability of his, altering cellular data, which allows him to mask his number as Charlie's, contacting Lucifer with a perfect impersonation that lures the King of Hell into meeting. So I guess Vox worked out that Lucifer is on Charlie's shit list after the whole debacle at the rally. Since Lucifer is unable to smite sinners, Vox is plotting to use him as the power source for whatever doomsday machine Carmine is cooking up. And I just have a feeling that power skillers and Lucifer stands alike are going to be very annoyed with the season when it's all said and done. What's going to happen next? I guess you'll have to find out in the final 2 episodes, and then check out our breakdowns to unpack the insanity that awaits us. But for now, that's all we have for this breakdown. What are your thoughts on the revelations pertaining to Angel, Dust, and Lucifer? What are your theories for the finale? Drop them in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going on Twitter and Instagram at AwestruckVox and at Roundtable Vids. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Peace!